The 100% Wild podcast is brought to you by OnX Hunt, the nation's #1 GPS hunting app. Download today in the Google Play and App Store.
Buenos dias and welcome back to another episode of the Drury Outdoors 100% Wild podcast in Spanish. The whole show is going to be bilingual.
Yeah. I only had French in high school and I failed, so Spanish I know nothing.
So you just sit there and say, "Sí."
Yes.
No.
Sí.
How do you say no in Spanish?
No.
There you go. Nice.
So
That's Matt Drury.
Introduction. I'm Matt Drury, and we have Taylor Drury in studio once again. We didn't have her for 110 plus shows. Now we got 2 in a row.
We're going to make up.
And we're going to make up. And she's just going to be on the podcast for here on out.
Forever.
Forever. We're going to keep filming the 2 days you're at studio. We're going to film 15 of these.
All the podcasts.
And we're going to keep up with our tradition that Tim Wells started of times when you had to hold your own wound shut.
Yeah.
And so everyone gets to tell their own artery
Everybody
story.
gets to tell their own death story.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've come up with is Tim got a splinter on his deck once. I
A
scraped
wicked splinter.
my knee before.
Yeah.
I got a sunburn once as well.
Fell off
Taylor.
my bike.
There you
Maybe.
go.
That works.
If you haven't listened to that Tim Wells podcast, I highly suggest you do so.
Yeah. It'll change your life.
I was the edge of my seat listening to his stories, man.
And you can tell how he loves it. There's
It's
nothing
no BS.
fake about what
It's
he's
passion.
doing. He loves what he's doing. And he loves the thrill of the adventure and the danger.
Yeah. He obviously loves the thrill of the danger.
And honestly, I liked it because he has a lot of knowledge too. You're learning at the same time
Right.
that you're completely captivated by the story.
Yeah. I mentioned to him at the end there that if he doesn't have an audiobook, he should, because you can hear the passion just coming out in every word he says.
It's one of my favorite parts about his TV show, the narration. You can he writes it very dramatically, and it's not melodramatic. It's right on par for what's happening in the moment.
For a guy whose teacher in 6th grade made fun of said he'd be a know-nothing or whatever he said, he's sure done something with his life, and he's very, very talented. He's obviously a very intelligent guy.
You know, that story hit home with me because I remember
you were dumb as well.
Well, I was.
You were told that you weren't
and
going
then
anywhere.
I took smart pills and I got smarter. In kindergarten, the last day of kindergarten, we were going to Wisconsin on a family vacation, which typically was like a fishing vacation. My dad picked me up, and my kindergarten teacher pulled him aside, and she was like, "Tim was a great kid to have in class, but all he ever talks about is fishing and hunting. I think you need to get him involved." No, she said, "All he ever talks about is fishing. I think you need to get him involved in sports or something, because he's just so single-minded on this." And my dad was like, "Well, he also likes hunting." So we got both.
Two things.
Yeah. But I think about how many kids are kind of veered off of a path because maybe their interests are non-traditional. Like, I'm sure they didn't have a class on recurve archery at
slocking.
school. Right, yeah, there's no slocking 101. But how many kids are steered aside early in life because it's not a traditional pursuit? Like maybe like my father-in-law grew up hunting squirrel and rabbits for dinner. Like that was part of their sustenance. And it was normal to bring your 22 to school, because after school on the way home on your walk, you would try to plink off a couple rabbits for dinner. Now, if you did that, you'd have the SWAT team there.
Well, my cousin Waylon and I in high school, we would go, not a lot, but during spring turkey season, we would get together and go turkey hunting in the morning and then head off to school, sophomore, junior, senior year.
Yeah.
And you got a gun in your vehicle for the day. That stuff you can't do now.
Right.
I used to bring my compound bow to class, to high school, and put it in my locker.
I could just see. Okay.
In like
Matt, in the edit, you got to put in Tim's picture of himself in high school. And then anybody, if you want a visual, go to the YouTube page or DeerCast and watch this podcast to see this picture of Tim. And then now that you've seen this picture of Tim and his afro and all his glory, then picture him walking down the hallway with a compound bow in his hand. Like,
hello, ladies.
Mr. Cool Guy.
The lady killer.
It's amazing that you're going to continue on your last name. if you think about all those things together, because it is awesome.
We serve a merciful God. That's all I can say.
Yeah. That's right.
Well, we had archery class in PE, or we had archery lessons in PE, and so I would bring my compound bow to school, put it in my locker, and when PE time rolled around, I would go to my locker, walk from my strutting, making a face.
Biker shorts. Did you wear biker shorts for gym?
No, we
probably
just
on
had
bros.
like
High white socks.
Tim, admit it.
Maybe.
I want to see a picture of you from gym class. That's what I would like.
See, that's the nice thing about my childhood is that there's just not a whole lot of pictures because I grew up in an age where not everyone had cameras and no one wanted to take a whole lot of
don't feel
pictures
bad
of me.
because today's age, everybody's got a camera. It's the most photographed generation in the world
With the fewest hard copies.
with the fewest actual pictures.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hard copy pictures. That's a fact.
Yep.
So
my childhood remains shrouded in mystery for good reason.
as it should.
But it really just shows how in a short generation's time, weapons like bows and arrows have fallen out of the mainstream.
I love these podcasts where we dig into your childhood.
People are going to want to know more. Like,
They got to go
Like,
view.
who is this guy?
We've been wanting to pick up views. This is the reason, not the Tim Wells podcast, not anything else we've done. If you want to see what Tim looked like and then picture him strutting down the hallway with a bow and arrow, that's the reason.
it was the ID picture for my freshman year of high school. Like day one, walk in, get your picture taken. This is setting the
Did
trajectory.
you see him post about that?
I
on his-
haven't, no.
Oh my gosh, it's classic.
the full story.
It's like Mark's pictures from when
I
he
think
was
we
a
should
kid.
get those out.
They're also look.
the bowl cut.
None of us look great.
No,
but
it's
some
kind of
us,
a
it's
given.
a whole other level of looking geeky.
Mark's was pretty good.
Yeah, I think mom had just shared. You saw that picture of
Yes,
mom
the
and dad
prom.
from prom.
Yep.
and dad looked pretty awesome.
Oh my God, he looks like Pedro.
He could have been. That's
Terry
racist.
for
He
president.
could have been a beetle.
He's the sixth
Literally.
Beatle.
He is the non-talented one.
Oh yeah, but it does really. There's hope for you. Like if things are going so well from you as a youngster,
Look at your pictures.
yeah.
That was the point of Tim's post, was that there.
It was
hope.
why it's not a good idea to peak in high school. It's an article I wrote, and
I need to see this.
It's good. So, anyways, I digress. Once you got
Major
into
digression.
that, it just took me down that wormhole. Any way I could keep bringing that picture back up, I want to do it.
we're gonna.
And like I
harp on
said,
Tim.
it's not like I have anything great going on either. Total dork.
and that's I think that's what, like, it's so important to struggle at some point in your life, because that's when you figure out
That's
who
when you
you
build
are.
character.
Exactly.
Some have more than others.
I got a lot of character.
I have a lot.
So let's take advantage of Tay being in the studio. I don't want to talk about my childhood. ad
No,
nauseam
let's
here.
keep on this
Talk
path.
about you.
Do tell more. Some embarrassing hygiene stories. Let's dip into that. Why don't we?
Nice.
So Tay, you've had a busy early summer, I guess. A lot of stuff going on.
Yep.
General,
Probably plans
busy
for the
year so
summer.
far.
Busy year. I feel like the year's just flying by.
Yeah.
Fall, trade shows, married.
Well, fall
Summer.
was last year. So
Well, our fall
really is flying.
continued into January.
that's
It all kind of
winter.
blends together.
But yeah, and I just got back from Oregon, so that was awesome. I did the factory tour at Loophole and Danner. One of the honestly coolest things I've ever done. Really, really cool. You need to go someday.
I'd love to. It looks
really,
awesome. Your
really
stories
cool.
are really cool.
Were there any super secret places that they maybe couldn't show you?
There was actually probably it was like 70% you could take photos of, 30% you just couldn't because of the machines or technology or new stuff they
Sure.
had coming out. But seeing the behind the scenes of products that we use, almost on a daily basis during the
by
fall.
your boot story on the Drury Outdoors Instagram page.
The
Like, that
boot one
pretty
was
cool.
really, really, really cool. I mean,
I just ignorance. I didn't have any idea all that was American made.
yeah, all of it. Their parts, their tools, everything. So super
Pretty
cool.
awesome.
Yep.
And those kind of things you do pay a premium for, but when you think about the economic impact and keeping jobs
Oh, yeah.
here domestically, putting people to work
Yes.
and they're supporting their families, and just the sheer quality, like when you're manufacturing on your soil, you just have so much more control over
Quality control.
and I think the turnaround time and feedback from the consumer in the field is a lot quicker too.
Yeah.
Sure.
You don't
For
have to
sure.
work with retooling a factory in Indonesia or wherever
Yeah.
it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. After the tours, you're almost like, wow, I've been taking like these products for granted. You don't realize how many steps and materials and people actually touch every single scope or every single boot. So it was really cool.
I always felt that way because I have gone to like PSE's headquarters
Yeah,
to see that
yeah.
process several times. And
Same.
always am amazed by just how much they're doing on our soil and how complicated it really is, actually.
Yes. Agreed.
The CNC machines and just the amount of engineering that goes into it.
Yep.
Is CNC a music factory also?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
This would be
I don't
before your age. This would be-
not sure on that.
Yeah. Whatever. Sure.
Pump Up the Jam. Is that CNC?
I think so.
Yeah.
This is why
That
in
was
your
on-
childhood, you could bring a bow to school. If I would have brought a bow to school, I would have been arrested.
Yeah, you're talking Jock Jams era.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cosmic
and like
Bowling, Jock
1
Jams.
through what Jock Jam number are they on now?
Y'all are
I
Asian.
don't know that they have. Well, Tim literally just told me he bought a CD the other day.
Yeah, I bought the new Eric Church
How do you
CD.
even have
go-
a CD player?
I go, so you're the one guy.
Yeah, and I went to Walmart and they had just a tiny. They probably have literally 100 CDs for sale. And I
It's
was
actually
like,
more than I would
I'm
think.
not gonna find. It was Desperate Man, the new Eric Church CD. I'm not.
Yes.
It's probably not gonna be here, but they had 3 of them.
Did you know that they have that all on Apple iTunes?
This
What is-
fancy
what is that?
smartphone that you carry around everywhere.
Bam.
You could put it right there.
Put music inside these
And I
things.
guarantee it, your truck's new enough where it probably could be played from your phone to your truck.
Huh? Can I get the Charleston on it? That's my jam.
I don't know what that is.
You wouldn't.
So anything surprise you about the Danner Loophole factory tours in terms of like kind of cool technology that's coming up, or maybe something that's different about other optics or boots?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, to me, the whole thing was surprising. That was, besides PSE, that was really my first like detailed factory tour. I mean, it's an hour and a half of looking at machines, meeting the employees. And again, it was baffling to me how many parts or how long it takes them to make a boot. You know, we were like, how many boots do you make a day at Danner? And she's like, like usually, within one work day, you can get about 100 to 150 boots made.
That's not as many as I would.
No, and
think.
the factory is huge. There's people everywhere working as hard as they can. So it's amazing that it takes that long to make one pair of boots. Another thing I really liked was watching the military boots be made. So like the boots that we were hunting, it's totally different with the military boots. They have so many more layers and parts to them. So that was really interesting to learn and hear about their background with the military and supporting that.
Sure.
So
And all the specs that they probably have to meet in order to be compliant with those
a
military
lot of like
contracts.
testing.
Yeah. Well, I assume just the amount of miles that soldiers put on a pair of boots.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's
No doubt.
astronomical compared to your average person that
Yeah.
I got a pair of Danners that have lasted me
Years.
couple years.
Yeah.
So
Well, and you think about just the sheer pressure that comes with producing something for someone that's serving in the military. Like if you don't put together a good product, literally
or
someone's
death.
life is on the
Yeah,
line.
sure.
Yeah.
That's different than, maybe inconveniencing someone on a whitetail hunt.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And the loopholed one, I think a really cool part of the tour is they have this whole case and it is scopes that went through battle. So like not battle, but like hit by lightning.
Torture
Found in a
testing.
river years later. Crazy things. And
like
the scopes.
things that people have returned for warranty issues.
Yeah, but for
yeah.
insane,
Mm-hmm.
crazy situations, and they
still
have them all in a case and they're all intact. So that's when you know you're getting a really, really awesome optic.
Yeah.
That was cool to see.
This past season was the first year I hunted with loophole binos. I'd always
They're
had
incredible.
kind of some cheapies that I got as a kid, and I could not believe the color
The difference.
reproduction
Yeah.
Insane,
and
yeah.
the
Low light,
depth
too.
the light gathering capability and the depth of field. Like because the cheapies I used to use, just everything looked flat and it was hard to
and
gauge.
dark.
Yeah. Quality glass makes such a big, and a lot of that comes in quality control and initial
Well, and
materials.
a lot of it's like a lifetime warranty type stuff. It is worth paying the extra price to have the better. Yeah, and that's with almost anything in life. You know, if you can afford to save up and get it, a lot of times it's the one piece you might have for your life, or
No doubt.
large portion of your life. So
Yep.
a lot of times it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's one of the things my grandparents kind of pounded into us. They were, average means, they worked at a steel mill and stuff, but they always spent as much as they could on the important stuff. And boots are critical. I mean, boots can make or break a hunt.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always remember Dad, lacing up his boots before construction. That's the one thing in my childhood. I always remembered him sitting on the step right there in the garage, lacing his boots up.
Yep.
So it's definitely one thing that you want a good pair
Not to
of.
skimp on.
Yeah,
For sure. And even on the glass, how you're saying it's just there's such a difference. It's cool because a lot of the other optic companies, they were saying they order in that glass, that prescription, where Loophole actually is making the exact prescription that goes in your optics at the factory. So we got to watch a prescription be made.
That
goes into the glass.
But is the glass
For the
still
scopes.
coming from over? I know they make all their scopes in Oregon there, in Beaverton, Oregon.
Yep.
But is the glass, does that come from somewhere else? The actual glass itself?
we didn't, I'm not sure on that. We didn't see the step basically we saw the step when the glass was arriving and they're actually putting it through testing and deciding the prescription and then testing the light outside, but I don't know where the glass came from.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
Some of the fun fact here, some of the best sand for making glass comes from my hometown of Ottawa, Illinois. Silica
Really?
sand. Yep.
Interesting.
White sand. They mine it out of the ground and it's the cleanest and some of the most pure silica around.
So one thing that you'll know by the end of this podcast, by doing podcasts with Tim, there's always
Random facts.
random cool fact.
Thanks for saying cool.
Whether it's a wildlife word of the day or something else. Tim's got that wide knowledge base that I don't have.
There's weird stuff floating around up in my brain.
Now, if you want to talk like movie, like pop culture,
you always.
I got that for me. I got that going for me. But
Matt always will say a movie quote. He's like, the movie? I'm like, nope. He's
Not
like,
so
did you
much.
live under a rock when you were a kid?
that was literally my college experience. So,
Movies.
it's some school.
Yeah.
A little bit.
We all have
drinking.
friends that speak in 80% movie references.
Austin Land.
Yeah.
Oh
Really?
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. So 80% of the day, I have no idea what he's saying.
That's nice, honey.
Yeah. Great.
So is Austin, speaking of Austin, is he getting geared up for Utah for the season out there? They got tons of clients coming in, Wild Country Adventures, obviously every fall. So are they starting to see, I guess, velvet, mule deer and elk and everything else?
Yep. They just started currently right now. They're putting out mineral for all the animals.
Sure.
Which that's a task in itself. They're putting out mineral for 2 to 2.5 weeks to cover all the land. Then they'll start summer scouting about every day for mule deer and elk. But it's so cool to see when he gets home from the ranch, he's got all these pictures of elk and mule deer that are just already looking big. And he said, as of a couple days ago, they still have about 45 days of growth yet. And they've already got some giants walking around.
Awesome.
So that's fun to see.
It's so interesting to me because growing in your childhood, Mark was gone a lot hunting.
Yep.
And so it's probably not that big of a transition now because both you and Austin are pretty much out of pocket during hunting seasons.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, that would be a difficult transition to make.
For sure. Yeah. A lot of people are like, I don't understand how you guys can spend so much time apart. And it's like, that's just normal life to me. I
never saw my dad. All right.
My dad
Leave me
was
alone.
always gone.
I call my dad by his first name.
Yeah, I mean, but that
I actually do.
yeah, Terry. That was the cool thing about growing up, though. It's like if I wanted to see Dad, you go to the farm, but I wanted to go to the farm.
Yeah.
So your weekends.
Just so happens he was there.
Yeah.
Oh,
You wanted that Friday at school to come so you could leave at 2:00 and go to the farm and spend the weekend with them. And I think it's going to be really the same thing for our kids too. You know, Austin's got kind of the same guide schedule, same months that Dad's hunting. So, but I don't really find it that difficult.
It's your
makes
way of life.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, if you were your wife or my wife, it
Probably
wouldn't
a little
go
different.
over as well because that's not where the space they came from.
Yeah.
Per se.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
If there were no kids in the equation,
It'd be
then it'd be
a
like,
little different.
get out of here.
I was going to say, we don't have children yet. It may be different when that comes.
But I don't know that it'll change a whole lot for you because of the way that you move to, and maybe that would be a little different. Now you're no longer considered an Iowa resident. I saw that you put in for your preference point. So
I could cry.
Your season might be a little different this year, I guess,
is.
and what your schedule is.
Right. Dad and I actually were having that conversation. I think it will be a little less this year without those Iowa tags.
Yeah.
My heart is still broken. I remind Austin daily that I moved to Utah and I sacrificed those Iowa tags.
He must be worth it. It's not like you get to go hunt wild country spots either.
No.
They're full.
No,
It's not like you switch from here to there.
Yeah.
Now you're putting in for a tag there and you're putting in for a tag.
Yes.
Here.
Everyone's so, are you hunting elk or mule deer at the ranch? I'm like, that's not how it works.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm
so
not.
so Illinois, Missouri, is that kind of your go-to for this fall for white
Texas.
Texas?
Probably be Missouri, Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because obviously Missouri over the counter, so you can get a bow tag, a gun tag. And then Texas, we always usually go down like twice a year.
Sure.
And then I put in for Iowa. And so I think that's what every other for gun, every 4 for bow
Yeah.
type of thing.
Typically for those zones
build-
that you're going to be going for sure.
Muzzleloader.
So I actually put in, last year was my first year putting in for a point, and I put in again this year. So hopefully in a couple
You
of years.
going to go
here.
to Mark's farm?
No, I wasn't invited
would.
there. Never had that invite, but I was invited to
not
Greg
implied.
Glassinger's farm.
Oh,
so
That's not a bad
that's
trade.
not a bad one either. So
Look
that's
out,
why I started.
240.
I wouldn't have been so presumptuous to put in unless I was invited somewhere.
Sure.
So, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to that a couple years down the road, though.
Heck yeah.
Be here before you know it.
We'll meet you at the Mexican restaurant, OC.
That's that I look forward to the nights in Iowa more than
Hunting
anything.
camp. Yep.
There's not
Yeah.
many mornings, but there's a lot of evenings.
a lot of
Mornings kind of bleed into noon.
Yeah,
that's right.
you never know.
But no, so I'm looking forward to seeing how your season plays out this year. It's going to be different, but
Yeah.
in some respects, it'll be very similar. I mean, you probably focus a little more on Missouri when you're staying at the Iowa camp, and your trips to Texas will be like they always are. So I don't know that's going to change a whole lot, maybe other than the duration of time that you're staying at the Iowa house.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that I'm actually in the Midwest for 4 consecutive months. I don't go home. I live out of a suitcase, which not complaining. I love it.
Sounds glamorous.
But I'm not going to be mad about a little bit more time at home.
Yeah.
I'll get to go to the ranch and hunt with Austin and his clients, which a lot of his clients are really relationships that we have too. So it's not a bad trade.
See, Taylor is now our resident Westie.
Oh,
That's right,
please
yeah.
don't call me that.
In Austin, he was already our Westie.
Yeah.
Flat brim, buff, not overly tall.
Yeah.
As the description is.
What do the Westies call us Midwesties?
Flatlanders.
Yeah, Flatlanders.
Yeah.
They've never been to Missouri.
So, which Westies can kind of have a bad connotation.
This is all tongue in cheek. I'm making fun of it because of there's some social sites out there that make
That
it,
are pretty funny. Yeah.
and I get a kick out of it, but it's because it's not directed at me. It would feel a lot differently if they were making fun of me, but we like to poke the bear. We like to poke Austin and make a little fun about it. But
Western hunting is fun though. I mean, I really didn't know anything about it until I met Oz, but even more so when I moved, because I'll join him for just the prep of their season like we were talking about. And it is completely a 180 from whitetails. It really is. And to me, it's just, and the public land thing too is really cool to learn about, meet public land hunters and hear their tactics. It's a whole new aspect of hunting that I honestly didn't know existed.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, and we have enough partners out west now, whether it's Leupold or Lacrosse Danner or Winchester Arms is based out there, Mounting. And then now on X, you get it's just a very different. Well, I shouldn't even PSE. I mean, it's Arizona. It's obviously it's west, so it's a different. It's just a kind of a different culture out there. The hunting's way different. Yep. The approach that they have to take is totally different. But they have access to a lot more ground in a lot of instances. It's just a lot harder hunt.
Yes, for sure.
Totally. It's not even comparable.
No,
that's what fascinates me about it is like you hear an elk bugle or you see a mule deer bedded down. It's like, well, that's a 3-mile walk to get over to them. Yeah. It's way different than what we do.
Yeah. Well, when we're turkey hunting and it's like, hey, a gobble was way over there. It's like, hop in the side by side.
Yeah,
here we go.
Get in the truck and we're there all of a sudden. It's not that hard. In the scheme of things, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
The terrain is definitely definitely different. Yeah, I never understood, like physically training for a hunt.
Oh, right.
Until you go to the West and you're like, okay, I have to physically train for this because of the altitude,
Just in general, the terrain of it, is totally different.
Yeah,
I remember
beautiful.
Going with Mark to, let's
talk about your mule deer hunt with Mark.
So I went with Mark to Colorado. This would have been my first or second year working here. And I had never seen a mule deer in person. I had never edited a mule deer hunt. I had no idea. And frankly, at that point, I was 22, probably 22, 23. At that point, I really hadn't hunted a whole lot either because I had stopped hunting all through college and the second half of high school, and I had a really good time. I just went and did my thing. Well, I came back to it. I really didn't know what I was doing. So back then, the thing was that specifically Mark, he'll just throw you in the fire.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, hey, you're going to come film. And it's like, okay. I really wasn't a great camera guy but I could figure it out. It's not like I had general production classes in college, but I wasn't proficient at being a camera guy and f-stops to this and that or whatever. So we go out West and we go to Colorado. I remember it was Eagle Outfitters or Golden Eagle Outfitters or something like that. Donnie something or other. It was a great place, great time. And we're mule deer hunting and Mark is, I think it might've been a muzzleloader hunt. It was a gun hunt. Yeah, it was a gun hunt.
Dang.
And so we're going up and down at the train. We were going up and down, trying to get in front of this bachelor group of mule deer. And we get in front of them. And so we were sprinting like I wasn't like I was in bad shape because I was younger, but I wasn't in that I wasn't prepared for that hunt by no means. So we're going up and down, and we get to where we kind of get to the bachelor group, and I'm totally out of breath. And then we got a belly crawl for 200 or 300 yards. We had a belly crawl to get into position, and you're crawling on stuff that's poking and
the cameras weren't small then.
No, it would have been a Canon. I'm trying to remember what the name of those. It was a mini DV camera, but it was probably, for those of you watching, it's probably a foot and a half or so, long.
Sure.
Good enough size. Plus your camera bag, plus your gear, and all that good stuff. So anyways, it's besides the point. So we get rid of the gear. We start belly crawling. We get into position, and Mark's like, if you've ever hunted with Mark, it's very intense. I don't care if you're squirrel hunting. He's going to make it intense. And for the hunter, he really makes it intense if he's the camera guy.
Pressure.
So you don't want to screw up. Whether you're filming, hunting, you're the guide. He makes it very pressure packed where you don't want to screw up because you're
he will
never
make
going to
you
hear
feel worse than you already.
This tall, getting taller, getting smaller. That's a famous line in our company history. But anyway, so we get in position and we're looking at this bachelor group of mule deer, and I had no idea which one he was going to shoot. And there was probably 7 or 8 mule deer in this bachelor group. Yeah. And I said, which one are you going to shoot? And I don't remember. It was something like, he's the one with his head down. And I was like, they're feeding. I was like, all right, is it the one on the left or the one on the right? The one with the head down, it was like that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay. I asked like 2 or 3 times for more clarification. And he just stuck with his line of he's the one with his head down. And I'm sure he's looking through, a sight picture or whatever. Yeah. And he was looking at a shooter. Well, I was looking at a 2-year-old and whatever. I was zoomed in. He's like, you on him? I was like, I'm on him. One of them. I was like, he's the one with his head down or whatever. He's like, it may have been head up. I forget which, but he's like, yeah, that's him. I was like, I'm on him. And he shoots. And the one that I'm on is just standing there. And I was like, I think you missed him. Shoot again or whatever.
Like, what?
And he's like, what? He's running away. And I look, out of my viewfinder. I look up and I was like, he's like, did you get him? And I was like, I don't know. And
wrong answer.
So we looked back at it, and I was filming like a 2-year-old To me, he had a rack. He had a good
Sure,
rack.
yeah.
You know, first time ever seeing
my
a
God.
Great
mule
looking
deer.
whitetail.
And so,
I'm sure he didn't make you feel bad
oh
at all.
my God. So not only there in camp with everybody else, but literally, I remember, I'll never forget, we were in the rental car going back to the airport, and Mark is always on his phone. So is Dad. They're both always on their phone. Well, back then it wasn't texting, which he's always doing. It was actual phone calls.
Yeah.
I remember Jared, he called Jared and he told Jared about it. And we're sitting in this car, and we were on the side of the road because it was getting beauty shots for the story, you know, and he's telling the story, and he's like, well, Matt, why don't you tell the story? He
You
called
berate
like
yourself.
2 or 3 people and made me tell the story over and over and over.
You know, there's a common trend because he does this to Wade and I on a daily basis. If we make a mistake, he will call his people and they all have to know.
Well, so the only silver lining is I've never filmed him since.
It was a one and
He's
done.
like, you're out.
Well, I'm out, because that's the other thing. If you ever screw up,
You're done.
You're done. Like, you are very
One
incompetent at that thing that you messed up at. Well, I remember years later, Terry, Mark, and I were turkey hunting, and this has been years ago, and I somehow, it got to be where it was a day where we all ended up killing, and I had to I had to man the camera at one point. And I remember Mark was like, are you sure you're on him? You on him? You sure it's the right one? You know, but like,
the one with
he's
the head
dead
down.
serious, but I knew exactly what he was in reference to, but I've never filmed him since. And frankly, I haven't filmed much since in general. So it good and bad.
So if you're popping Malox, I know why. It's like,
Yeah.
Mark is giving
He's
me
just-
ulcers.
Yeah.
He's so intense and in it. And when I filmed him last fall, killed that deer with his bow.
That was an intense anyways.
Oh yeah, and I just remember thinking, I am so dead if this doesn't turn out.
Biggest deer of the year for him.
Yeah.
And I'm filming through a hole this size that wasn't
The
fogged.
muddy blind was totally fogged, so it was high pressure. The deer is totally staring you guys down.
Oh, completely.
Which, by the way, if you want to see this, you can go over to the DeerCast app and see that what we're calling the DeerCast now
The
flash forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be there. By the time this airs, it'll be in there. So check it out. But it's intense.
It is so intense. We hunted on the wrong wind, which we never, ever, ever do that. But we took
the
the
most
steps
I've
to
seen
do
you
it.
guys
Ran to the
run.
blind.
Oh, we ran.
He ran
I'm
into the
like-
blind.
Yeah, he's all, we're gonna run, and then just phew. I'm like, all right, we're
That's
running.
what we're
Here
doing.
we go. But scent crushed up. But I just remember when I was filming, I was praying to God. I'm like, please don't mess this up because I'm so dead if I do.
Yeah.
This is not just a deer; it's a big deer.
Yeah, it's very intense. And I often thought about that. If I ever did get that invite to hunt up there, I would almost just request to go with Wade. Like, just send Wade with me.
That is
Much
very
low
relaxed.
pressure.
Much different approach.
Yes, that's
Unreal.
funny.
So the moral of the story is, if you get invited to come film, you better
Don't.
practice.
Better be ready.
just
Come up with
just get
everything
sick.
you can. Yeah.
I can't make it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I already have too many ulcers.
Yeah,
Sorry. I'm good.
no, I'm out.
New guys, if you're a new guy with us, oof,
Poor Chase.
poor any of them. They've
Yeah.
all, Mark and Terry's camera guys have seen it all.
Yeah.
But that's
It is-
why Mark and Terry are so successful.
Exactly.
That's
yeah.
the other part of it.
They want it done
Driven.
right.
They want it done right. They're intense, especially when it comes to our trade, our craft.
Yeah.
And that's why 30 years later, the company is what it is,
Yeah.
that drive and
No doubt.
determination. But I've been in a lot of camps with those guys where they have totally chewed the camera guy's ass. I've seen guys cry. I've literally seen grown men cry. They just have a way with words.
Yeah.
And if they're both in camp together, you're screwed.
I won't say who, but I know of a guy who was on a media turkey hunt with us that vomited after missing a turkey. He was
Really?
so worked up
With one of us, or with
another, not associated with Drury Outdoors, but
Okay.
another media camp. But this guy was so just outside of his body after having missed that he hurled.
Because of who was in camp with him, you're saying?
because of who he was hunting with.
Oh.
And I can't give that away either. And the fact that he missed, he just felt like he screwed up so badly that he lost it.
It's probably what Matt almost did.
Yeah. No, actually, I'm so indifferent to it. I've been yelled at my whole goddamn life.
Calloused.
It really, you just take the beating.
Yeah.
I have learned, there's only been a few times in my life where I've pushed back.
Yeah.
And it never goes well.
You're not going to change it.
So it's like, you know what? Take it. Obviously it was my fault.
Yeah.
So
Right.
what are you going to do? Like, I will say that is one thing that I have learned how to own up to my mistakes.
Yeah.
All through life. If you own it, it's never
it's
as
a good
bad.
life lesson.
Yeah.
It is a good life. Just own it.
Yeah.
You're going to be better because of it. Just own it.
We were talking about that last night because of the Missouri house flooding.
Yeah.
It's like, I wish someone would just own who did this.
Mark's Missouri
Just
house
own it.
is
I haven't heard
totally
about this.
flooded. Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to
Somehow,
show you
the toilet was overflowing for
we had
a month.
We had an issue
month?
with the toilet during turkey season. So it was one of those things. If you had to flush, you had to sit there and wiggle it. We had someone come fix it. Didn't get fixed. And then the water was shut off. Well, somebody went in the Missouri house and went to the bathroom. I was going to say that. And didn't turn the water off. And
This
we
is why we need a soundboard.
yeah. They went to the bathroom in the last week, didn't turn the water off, and there's now no ceiling in the basement.
Dude, it's destroyed.
Whoa.
Like
It's
we were
destroyed.
proofing, Mark and I were proofing critical mass yesterday.
It's really bad.
And he got the text, and he and Dad were just talking about what can go wrong, does go wrong on the farms
Murphy's Law.
constantly.
Yeah.
And just constantly, no matter whether equipment, and everybody deals with that
Yeah.
on a farm. But, and literally this happened.
Well, he said Wade was like, call me ASAP, which Dad's always like, oh gosh, like I hope there's not a tractor accident or something.
Yeah.
Somebody's
And Wade
hurt.
was like, your house is completely flooded. And Dad's like, whatever, send me a video.
Yeah, he showed us the video. I was like, holy
It's really
cow.
bad.
All because of a toilet.
Dude,
All
the
because of
video,
the
you hear, it sounds like a waterfall. It was still running.
Yeah.
It sounds like a
all
waterfall.
the entire ceiling is just gone.
Wow.
So last night he was telling Austin. Austin was like, "So who did it?" And Dad goes, "Nobody. It just happened. Apparently."
It's just magic.
Neighbor, when I was growing up, if something did something around the house, it was always the neighbor kids.
Yeah,
Neighbor
they did
kids
it.
broke your lamp, Mom.
Well, unfortunately for me growing up, the neighbor kids were all first cousins.
Yep.
And so
Whalen did it.
it usually was Whalen. No offense to anybody, but Whalen
Except
usually was the culprit.
Troublemaker.
We had Daisy BB guns, and like we're not going to get a sponsorship out of this, but Whalen, his neighbor, he had a more high-powered BB gun, a pump gun, and I had a Daisy BB gun.
Yeah.
Well, he decided we should shoot at the neighbor's window.
Not
Why
a good
not?
idea.
And I swear it had to be his because mine couldn't hit further than 50 feet, you
Yeah.
know, out. It just, I mean, I could point blank shoot you right here and it ain't going to hurt
Shall we
you.
try
Be
it?
annoying. Break out the Red Rider.
And I think it was his, but we both got in trouble for it. And it was his idea,
Guilt
but
by
I got
association.
in
Yeah.
a ton of trouble. I remember Dad coming home from work that night, and it usually was late anyways.
Yeah.
And you were just praying they didn't come into the room. And I just remember hearing the garage, hearing the door, hearing the footsteps, hearing my door,
He's gonna kill Ralph.
hearing the bell.
You're like, I'm dead.
Guess he knows. Guess he heard. And the problem was you couldn't get away if you did something at school, like Linda.
It's Linda and Barb. And
Well, Linda, at
They're
that
both
time,
there.
Linda was my teacher, Wayland's teacher. She taught all of us, and I
Barb
would
duct
get
taped my dad to a chair. And duct taped his mouth.
here again something you couldn't do today at school.
Right. Which may be something that's missing
Needed,
out of our
yeah.
culture.
I remember getting off the bus, and my mom was sitting there waiting for me. Like Linda called
She
her from
knows.
school. I was like, shit,
may
I
die
can't
tonight.
do anything.
You're surrounded.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So build character.
Yeah.
Apparently.
I took the belt a few times when I was
Yeah.
a kid, and you learn stuff
You
because
do.
of it.
Anyways, we got way off topic.
We
Yeah,
did. This
yeah.
is way off.
These are my favorite podcasts, though.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Well, let's hit our wildlife word for the week, shall we? We didn't do
we
one
have one?
last week with
Taylor's
Tim
going to
Wells,
love
but
this segment.
What
Yeah.
is this?
So
Something Tim created to make me look bad.
Yep.
So you don't know what you're talking about.
He does. I don't.
Exactly.
the
What is it?
The wildlife word. It's still a sponsorless segment of the show.
Okay.
But it's a term or a piece of vocabulary that describes natural phenomenon or wildlife biological phenomenon. And
Okay.
hopefully to educate our audience.
And me, probably.
Yeah.
You will be.
Okay.
I guarantee you won't know it.
I won't.
This week's term is zoonotic disease.
Boom.
You just want to hear me say it just to make sure.
Yeah.
I know what I'm
Confirm
talking
what
about.
I think I know.
Yeah.
Yes. A zoonotic disease is any disease that can be transmitted from animals to humans.
Oh, interesting.
So like Tim Wells likely got one from his slocking his arm, his leg
through blood or through meat?
through anything.
Yeah,
Anything.
Tick bite,
any transmission
Lyme's
method.
disease.
But yeah, Lyme's disease is a great example.
Okay.
It can transmit from ticks to humans. It's kind of the concern out there on the horizon with the whole conversation about CWD. If it ever crosses that cervid to primate barrier, then there's some real issues. But zoonotic disease.
There you go.
We learned something.
If you can remember it by this
Zoonotic?
afternoon.
Yep.
I'll kiss you.
Zoonotic.
ZOONOTIC.
I can
Zoonotic.
never remember any of them. We had one yesterday and I don't remember what it was. And I actually knew what it was after you explained it. So.
Yeah, I can't remember what that one
Sidling.
was.
Up, boom.
Sidling.
Just
Yeah,
came up
nice
with it.
job.
Boom.
Hey.
Hey, it's working.
So
Wildlife
there you have
word. Yeah.
Sweet.
it. All right.
We covered a lot of ground.
That's right.
We did a lot of off ground, but it's fine.
Like I said, my favorite ones.
It's mostly Taylor's fault.
Yeah, man,
know.
we never get derailed like this when you're not here.
Yeah.
Very on point, on topic. Yeah. So if folks want to give us a question to bat around on the air, do so by visiting DruryOutdoors.com/podcast. Click the send voicemail tab and leave your name, your question, and try to make it brief. Some of our questions.
Boy, they're slow, they're long. And I just would love for y'all to get to the point and so practice and then do it. And then hit the hole running.
That's right.
That's right.
Those are the best ones.
Those are the best ones.
Watch the show in DeerCast on YouTube.
And this is going to be one of those shows that they actually will want to watch because we have a pretty girl on the set.
That's right.
We've only had two of them. It's when Rihanna was on and now with you. And
she
that's,
said that she had fun.
yeah. So
Did she roll her eyes when she said that? Or
Yeah.
had a
She's like
lot
that
of-
Tim guy,
that was
dude.
great. What was that one kid's name?
he was weird.
The one that peaked in high school. What was his name?
No, he
Absolutely
didn't peak in
didn't.
high
Oh, didn't
school.
peak.
God help us if I did. Oh, so listen wherever podcasts are published.
That's right.
You'll find
Yep.
us.
That's right. As always, head over to DeerCast, check out the farm giveaway. We're giving away a farm. If this is airing in July, which it should be, we're giving away a muddy blind and a 10-foot platform. I mean,
Penthouse.
all you got to do is sign up, put
Yep.
your name in the hat, and it's pretty awesome. And frankly, your odds are really good. I mean, we have a lot of signups, but in general, it's not like a lottery scale. You know,
Right.
pretty good odds. So you should check it out. I think everybody that's won something so far has been very pleasantly shocked that they always say the same thing. I never win anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
So here's your chance.
Winner.
Winner, chicken dinner.
And
Yep.
maybe continue winning because we don't pull anyone's names out of the hat once they win something.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just can continue
Yeah.
to have chances at
Odds
winning.
are still in your favor.
Yes.
And the last thing I want to hit, as always, well, two things. First of all, our new TV shows are airing on the Outdoor Channel. So check them out. Bow Madness, Critical Mass, 13, new season, great hunts, biggest deer in our company's history
Unreal.
is shot, Greg Glessinger. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. Bow Madness, I think it's going to be maybe our best season yet. Storylines are
Cool
great.
stories.
Hunts are great, phenomenal bow kills. And 13 usually speaks for itself, the knowledge that Mark and Terry share. A lot that we can learn and can continue to pull out of that show. So anyways, check that out. And then pscenation.com, pscsummershootout.com. You can win a hunt with SOE Outfitters in South Texas this fall. Check it out.
Yeah. If you've ever been jealous of John Odell's
Yeah.
hunts
Yeah.
in Texas,
Kills
go where he
giants.
goes.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
But not have to pay for it.
right.
So
Yes.
here's
Bonus.
your chance. So as always, we appreciate you guys listening and watching, and we got some cool and exciting new things coming.
That's right.
All right.
Take
till
care.
Next time.
See you guys.
Peace out.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV is brought to you by OnX Hunt, the nation's #1 GPS hunting app.